This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Okay, I'm sure there are times when we all get a little bit glum, a little bit down, a little bit miserable, down in the dumps, as it were. And if you're a musician, one great way of dealing with that is, as I'm sure you know, just kind of getting it out your system by playing a piece of music that expresses that emotion. So what I'm going to do today is show you a fantastically effective and I think really quite easy way of playing that kind of emotive content in a solo. It's based around the pentatonic scale that most of us have a pretty good handle on to begin with. I'm kind of generalizing here, but most people know at least one little pentatonic box that they can use quite effectively. And if you know that, then you can tweak it in the way I'm going to show you here to get a beautifully expressive and emotive, soulful kind of angst-ridden sound. Here's a solo where I'm doing that, and then a bit of an explanation as to what's going on. Here it is. Okay, as is usual, let's begin by looking at the chords, and there they are on screen. You can see them. We have a B minor chord, going to a G chord, D to C, back to B minor. Then we go E minor to B minor, then E minor, and then the D to C, again leading us back to B minor. And B minor is very much the chord which resolves this chord sequence. It's the chord that when you play through the chord sequence, it sounds like home. That's the chord where when you land on it, it doesn't naturally kind of feel like it needs to move on to any other chord. So we call that the tonality. And when you're playing with a pentatonic scale, all you got to do is trust your ears to tell you which is the chord which is giving it that sense of resolution, a tonality, and find the pentatonic scale that matches that. So because here we've got a B minor tonality, you use B minor pentatonic. And you could play over that chord sequence all day long with B minor pentatonic. It's going to sound pretty good. But there's more that you can do, and the more that you can do is determined by what notes are in the chords. So let's have a look at the notes in each of the chords in the sequence. And you can see that there are many notes in that sequence, in each of the chords, that coincide with the notes of the B minor pentatonic scale, B, D, E, F sharp and A. But there's a couple of other ones in there as well. For instance, the G chord, the C chord and the E minor chord all have a G note in them. So we can add that G note into our B minor pentatonic. There it is there. There it is there. Like that, okay? So what else is available? Well, we can see that the C chord contains a C note. obviously. So let's add the C note into the B minor pentatonic as well. There we go. And when you take a B minor pentatonic and add the G notes and C notes into it, you get something called the B Phrygian mode. And just adding those notes into the pentatonic scale gives it a much darker, more tragic sound, I think, as I shall now demonstrate. I'm just going to kind of fire up a little synthesizer here and have a little B minor chord going on in the background, and I'm going to start off by just noodling around in a B minor pentatonic, and then I'll start adding in the G and C notes, and you'll hear the difference that it makes to the sound. Here we go. Can you hear the difference that makes there? It just makes it sound just that little bit more, as I said, darker and tragic. What you have to realise, though, is that you can't just do this whenever you feel like summoning that dark and tragic mood into a B minor solo. You have to make sure that the C notes and the G notes are available to you in the chord sequence. If you tried doing that when the chord sequence wouldn't accept those notes, maybe there might be an A chord in some hypothetical chord sequence. That A chord has a C sharp note in it, and you try landing on the C note to try and get that dark and tragic Phrygian mode sound, and you're going to get the clash of the two notes like this. Not very pleasant. You have to be able to look at the chord sequence and understand it in terms of what notes are in it, and therefore what notes are available to add into your core pentatonic scale. Now, another way that you can look at the Phrygian mode is by looking at what key it's in. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, it's in the key of B minor, isn't it? Well, no, it isn't. This chord sequence is actually in the key of G. There's the key of G major right there. And you can see all of the chords in the sequence, the B minor, the G, the D, the C, and the E minor, are all in the key of G major. And what's more, that is the only key where they will all occur together. Those chords will all occur separately in other keys, but there's only one key where they will all overlap and occur together, and that's the key of G. And when you focus on the 3 chord in a key, which is what we're doing here, B minor is the 3 chord in the key of G. When you focus on the 3 chord in any key, then that is said to be the Phrygian mode. Okay, that's a Phrygian mode chord sequence, basically taking in this case, the key of G major and rotating it, if you like, so that the 3rd chord, the chord based on the 3rd note of the scale, B minor, is now the chord that's in the limelight. It's the tonality. Remember that word, we used that earlier. It's the tonality chord for the chord sequence. When you do that, then making the 3 chord as the tonality, then you are said to be in the Phrygian mode, okay? And like I said earlier, you trust your ear to tell you the tonality, B minor. Then that gives you the pentatonic, and then you can add in the non-pentatonic notes that you find lurking in the chords. So that's a little bit of a lowdown on what's going on in the Phrygian mode, one of, I think, the most dark and tragic sounding scales you can use. It's great fun to kind of fool around with this one and sound a little bit dark and exotic, so why not give it a try? So there you go, the Phrygian mode, a fantastically dark and expressive and soulful vehicle for soloing. And once you understand how it fits with the chords that go along with it, then you can just call upon that emotive content anytime you feel like doing so. There is, of course, a full tab for that solo, along with a backing track to play over with, and that little clip that you saw of me playing that solo and explaining doing it. It's all up on my Patreon page. There's the address right there, link in the description. That's just a special little thank you to all of the wonderful people who support me on Patreon and help me keep the lights on around here. Thank you so much, everyone. It is truly, truly appreciated. I'm more grateful than I can tell you. Before we go today, I'll just remind you about the contest that's going on. You can win a Harley Benton British Tone pedal, a fantastic little pedal. Does a rather good impersonation of a bunch of Marshall amplifiers. I'm not going to go through all of the kind of stuff that the competition's about. I'll just link to the video where I launched the competition. It's downstairs in the description box, as are all of the links that you can use to support the channel. As I said, there's the Patreon thing, $3 a month, and you get all of the resources that go along with these YouTube video lessons, and there's a bunch of other things as well, and you know, courses you can enroll on. You can buy a fret zealot, load of great things. Thank you so much if you're already supporting me in any of those ways, and thank you in advance if you're thinking about doing it. And with that, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. See you next time. Bye for now.